Hi, my name's Alix Paultre and I'm Editor-in-Chief of Electronic Component News. I was recently going through a collection of technology I've acquired over the years, and one of the things that I was thinking about recently was how fast memory became a commodity from what used to be a pricey accessory to your electronic systems. Memory, of course, is both required and ubiquitous in logic systems, because unless you have some kind of storage of instructions or storage of stored data or captured information from, say, sensors or other technologies that you're working with, there's no continuity of the system. The first memory, of course, was the punch card. And I just happen to have a couple of these because it's good to remember that once upon a time all memory was hard memory, as it were, physically encoded into paper. I actually took a course in punch card processing when I was in the military back in the 70s. They took a while to get rid of the punch card. The military was actually using punch cards well into the 70s. But as far as memory goes as a technology, it's come a long way from when it was a very expensive way to store data in a compact space. Large data storage, of course, is less expensive than small data storage. And up until the advent of cheap flash memory, there were quite a few ways of trying to store data into a system. Some of the earlier attempts include micro drives using magnetic medium. This actually is an old iJam LP disc, stored 40 megabytes, and it was part of the raft of MP3 and music players that came out in the early 2000s prior to the overwhelming destruction of the media player market by the iPod. A lot of removable micro-storage technologies were instantaneously rendered obsolete by large micro drives. In fact, this is a 4 gig micro drive versus a 40 megabyte magnetic disk. These micro drives found their ways, of course, into the iPods and to the other various MP3 players and microcomputers and such. But of course, flash memory, well, actually this isn't flash, this is other chip-based memory, but this will stand in for flash. Basically chip memory versus rotating drive memory. This is a more reliable storage, doesn't have as many write cycles, but when it comes to size and robustness and such, you start to see how rotating drives fall out of favor. They were even in 99, this is the Kaluna card. This was actually I had to write 99 on it to keep my memories. This is a 260 megabyte PCMCIA card, rotating drive. And around 2002, there was a very short-lived attempt. There was a company called DataPlay. They actually used these 250 meg per side optical drives. These drives were about the size of I'd say a quarter. And David Crosby actually was one of the backers of this format, and of course right around 2002, 2003, like I said, there were quite a few different players with removable storage, and they were all beaten down. But when it comes to the actual removable storage now, there's a lot more going on in the area of custom, or I shouldn't say custom, but near custom or specialty use. This is, for example, a memory technology called the silicon blade socket, and this holds flash drive modules that could then plug into the circuit board. But the bottom line is, regardless of how the technology is manifested, the issue is that even in the case of an established technology like memory, disruptions can come and totally change the playing field. Back in 2005, I had the opportunity to go to the Kihara Research Center and speak to Kihara-san himself, one of the three co-founders of Sony. And I was with a group of editors, and we walked into his office, and we asked him, of course, what his most favorite invention was. He said the Betamax, and then corrected himself and said the Mavica, but we all knew he really meant the Betamax, which, interestingly enough, the core technologies in both Betamax and the Mavica are ways of storing the data, of course. And we asked him what the next big thing was, and he said memory. And this was, of course, in the mid 2000s, the noughts, I guess people would call them now. And they've closed the Kahara Research Center since, which I guess tells you a little bit about the fortunes of Sony. I personally think that was a mistake. But the fact that he called it very correctly, that memory would change in its value to the user from a relatively pricey commodity to a relatively priceless commodity. I mean, well, of course, priceless in one sense, but cheap is a better way to say it. And in that disruptive change, quite a few interim technologies were rendered obsolete before they were even fielded, which is a good thing to think about when we start looking at some of the more recent disruptive technologies that are going to be changing our lives, like solid-state lighting, for example, or more advanced micro-electromechanical system technologies. So, little trip down memory lane to remind us all that just because a technology is current does not necessarily mean it will stay current, and just because a technology is a viable technology does not mean that it will not get rendered obsolete by other technologies which are even more applicable to the application required. So, thanks a lot for giving me a couple of minutes to talk about this. Have a great day.